Am I the a-hole for not letting my parents see their only grandson because my toxic mother won't take accountability? I, 27 female, haven't seen my parents for over a year. Don't worry, I'll go into detail. But before I do, let me give a little context on our past. When I was 9 years old, my mother went to prison for fraud. She had multiple counts and was sentenced to 15 years in prison. When my mother got out of prison, she continued her old ways. She used my name to get a $40,000 loan and gave me 5,000 and said she would keep the rest for all the times she bought me things. Even after that, she continued to make a tally for every single time she bought me something or bought something for our son. So when we did have issues in the past, she always said it was because I was money hungry, when in reality, she stole money from me. So now that you're all caught up, back to the story. I had my first son and my parents' first grandchild a little over 2 years ago. My mother was ecstatic after begging me and my older brothers to give her a grandbaby for years. So after giving up on my brothers having kids, you can imagine she was pretty excited. She was a great grandma before he was born. She would talk or sing to my stomach and brag about being a grandma to everyone. I truly loved it. When my son was born, my mom and dad fell in love. My mom and dad came over as soon as we got home from the hospital, but my mother never respected our request, which was my son was a preemie, and we requested that they wash their hands before holding him or letting him suck on their fingers, etc. My mother didn't and would say she's had kids and it's fine. Things like that. As my son continued to get older, my father was very involved in engaging with my son. My mother, on the other hand, slowly started becoming less engaged with my son and more engaged with her online friends that she had never met and the popularity she was growing on Twitter, 32,000 followers. Honestly, I could go into the many occasions she neglected to pay attention to her grandson besides for a photo to post to her followers or when I had to beg her to put her phone down. But this post would be longer than it already is. I did my absolute best to help build the relationship with my son and his grandparents by offering days where they can take him or we could all go out. But my parents proceeded to say we are not a daycare service. And that's honestly what started all of the drama. I was tired of begging my mom to try. In fact, my mother went and posted on Facebook that I cut her off because of money and that I was mentally ill. Her post got a lot of attention and a lot of support for her terrible experience. And on top of that, I got a text that my mom was getting a lawyer for grandparent rights. I was livid and explained that we need some space after the lies and rejection she gave. Despite all our efforts, she has continued to text me or belittle me even to this day. But if she doesn't actually miss her grandson, am I keeping that from her and being too harsh? So tell me, am I the a-hole? Honestly, I'm not even really sure quite where to start with this one. It seems like there's a lot of gaslighting going on, and clearly there's a lot of past drama that obviously there's some resentment for, but at the same time, the mother hasn't really made any efforts to change her ways and try to better herself for the sake of her family. And I think it's incredibly sad and insane that she committed identity fraud against her daughter to take out a $40,000 loan so that she could get paid back for all of the money that she spent over the years for her daughter. And then clearly, she doesn't have the ability to take any sort of accountability whatsoever when she turns to social media to play the victim about the situation, pretending like she isn't the one causing all of the problems for herself. What I find really interesting, and perhaps I'm being a bit assumptive here, but it doesn't seem like the father is actually trying to do anything to fix the situation himself. And it kind of seems like he is in between a rock and a hard place because it's an ongoing fight between his wife and his kid. And then obviously the grandson is in the mix. Personally, if the OP wants to cut her parents off because of this, I would not blame her whatsoever. You can only put up with so much crap in your life. And unfortunately, it is extremely hard when you have to think about cutting off family members, but when they're going to cause you this much trouble, is it really worth trying to maintain a good relationship, even if it's for the illusion of your child. Especially when you think about the fact that this very well could have a long term negative impact on that grandchild as time goes on and as he gets older. And if her son builds up a strong relationship with his grandparents, and then all of a sudden her mother decides to do something crazy again and gets herself put in prison again, what kind of impact is that going to have on the child? So many things to think about and such a weird and crazy situation. But I would love to know what you think in the comments down below. Let me know.